Change Your POV podcast is about building confidence in your own beliefs, morals, and opinions while challenging yourself to be open, humble, and curious about things that you are unfamiliar with, don't have experience in, or straight up disagree with.
We will explore concepts and ideas that will challenge you physically, mentally, and spiritually. Personal introspection is among the greatest skill sets you will learn to hone. The foundation of your success is rooted in trust, gratitude, and forgiveness.
So join us as we explore things that we are unfamiliar with, strengthen things that we are, and are always challenging ourselves to become better.
Change Your POV podcast, where perspective is the vantage point of success.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year.
Karen's and Karen's husbands.
Karen's and Karen's husband, yes. So it is our first episode of 2021. And I saw a meme the other day. It says, is anyone else disturbed in the fact that this year is literally called 2021? Like
WON1.
Yeah.
I saw that.
So let's introduce our guest today, Bennett. We do have on a special guest for the show. We decided this was going to be
Karen's husband, Kevin.
Karen's husband, Kevin. Well, welcome, Kevin.
Why, thank you. I don't know if I'm that special of a guest, but thank you.
You're definitely special.
It's definitely it's just some added jackassery. It's all good, everybody.
Yeah. So last episode, if you were listening, I had mentioned during the review of the book portion about reappropriating military equipment, and I told a story about a former Joe of mine that always kept our ass squared away when it came to, having a vehicle up and running. Well, that gentleman happens to be Kevin on the show. So he listened to the show last week and he says, I do appreciate your comments and thank you for not using my name. Because, yes, he's still serving, not in the Army anymore. So we have Bennett, who was in the Marine Corps, then the Army, and then Kevin was in the Army, left the Army for the Air Force. So all we need, now is to get somebody from the Navy on to say, hey, and we need a Coastie too, right?
Yeah, token
Coastie. Yeah, Coasties are hard to find.
They are, man.
I've heard those guys don't count, but it's all relative.
It is all very relative.
All very relative.
All right, so we're going to get into our first segment this week is the review of our book. And now I'm following along. I'm also, obviously listening to this, but I'm following along in the hard copy. And I got to tell you, Bennett, we're not even a quarter of the way through this book.
I know, it's scary, right?
This is a monster book.
It is a monster book. Huge.
But it's good. It's good. I'm going back and listening to. Well, I'm listening ahead, so I'm way ahead in the book in actual life. But then before we record, I'll actually go back and listen to the chapter that we're going to review again. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because there's things that I listened to the second time that I didn't pick up on the first time. It's good.
Didn't hear the first time.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I'll let you start off with the intro of this chapter.
Preamble.
Preamble.
400. Chapter 7, Hill 400. What made a guy write for the Raiders? I still get pissed that they stole the Marine Corps name, but anyway, you had to be somewhat who just. Oh, Jesus Christ! Here we go. I'm gonna start over. What made a guy write for the Raiders? You had to be someone who just didn't give a shit. It isn't a big deal to die, Really.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Live with honor, die with dignity. That was the Raiders' slogan. See, Hackworth had pride in people, and for the 21-year-old man to be able to make a person want to fight and die to be happy with it. Shit, we were happy to die for our country. That's the kind of spirit we had in the Raiders. That was from Master Sergeant Jack Speed, U.S. Army, Squad Leader, Platoon Sergeant, 27th Raider Platoon, Korea, 1951.
And you do truly got to be one hell of a leader if you can convince your guys to be happy about dying. Because
Yeah, right.
I've been in combat, and that the whole thing of death definitely reared its ugly head a few times, and I wasn't happy about it at all, not a single time.
Right.
So-
Absolutely not.
Not even close. I think Hill 400, this chapter, is unique and it stands out in Hackworth's mind because this is the first time that a soldier under his command actually did die. So he's had a lot of wounded up to this point, and I think if you go for so long, if you fight as many conflicts and as many battles as you have as Hackworth up to this point without losing anybody, I think you almost gain a sense of immortality, right? Mm-hmm. Like nothing can touch me, luck's on my side, that kind of thing. And he truly believed that. And I think in a lot of ways that's true because he narrowly escaped several times the kiss of death. But
Several.
yeah, several. And in fact, he talks about it, and this is the part that I actually highlighted. I want to kind of share with you. He says, so they were up on Hill 400, and they already took a casualty, and that's the thing about being a grunt is you take casualties, you gotta try to get everyone back, right? Whether they're wounded or dead, you're trying to get everybody back, and that's easier said than done sometimes. But anyway, so here he is. He's got mortars coming in on Hill 400. He says, quote, "Shift a mortar fire to the back of the hill," I yelled to Neary. "Grenade!" shouted Raider Mendoza, who was kneeling about 3 feet away from me. We went for cover. Mendoza and Neary hit the ground. I spun, but tripped and rolled down the slope. I stopped rolling about the same time as the grenade, the same place as the grenade, and it was under me when it exploded. The blast propelled me into the air like a rocket. Moments later, a 160-pound ragdoll fell to the ground with a heavy thud. I could not get my air. I was choking and gasping. Horrible sucking sounds were coming out of my chest. Fire, I thought. My chest and left side were on fire. I groaned and tried to breathe. I figured my lungs had burst. Then I stopped moaning. It took too much energy. "Hackworth's done for," the words floated down. "The old man's dead." No Speed. No, I'm not dead. I moaned again, louder, but Jack was gone. "Fuck you, Jack Speed. I'm not dead. And I ain't gonna die. Not on this goddamn hill." I dragged myself to my feet and headed for the dock. He checked me out and got me breathing while I sent word to Chris to take command and get a prisoner. My left arm was broken and hanging from my shoulder by ripped flesh and torn muscle. Scores of shrapnel wounds covered my bruised chest. But I would live. And for the second time, a submachine gun had saved my life. A submachine gun and good trust training. When I'd rolled down the hill, I tucked my Thompson into my gut as I'd been trained and rolled with it under me. The weapon, and not I, had taken the full impact of the explosion. So it's just crazy to think these guys running around the hills of Korea, and most of them are toting these Thompson machine guns, right? That they basically were getting off of the enemy and collecting.
At this point.
Right. So, yeah, man, this guy, that is a career-ending injury in most cases. Mm-hmm. But he ends up, getting healed up here and coming back and continuing to fight, even with a pretty substantial compromised arm, because that arm with the shredded meat and muscle and tissue never really it never actually kind of healed completely.
Not correctly, at least.
Not correctly, yeah. Yep. But we'll probably talk about that later.
Doc
anything else?
What
anything?
Name. What a name for a doc, right?
Yeah, right. Right. Pretty good chapter. I like this one. This is not for the faint of heart, though.
No,
It's talked
and
about a
it's
lot.
another long one, man. I mean, it. We've said that the last two. Well, the last chapter wasn't as long, but this is a long one. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. But his men were definitely loyal. It's like crazy how loyal, and just like not scared. Like they are, you know. But it's like as long as they're together, they're like, we'll just take on the goddamn world. Who gives a
Right.
shit? Fix bayonets. Let's go. You know.
And I think a lot of that loyalty was gained because he was a former NCO, right? And he built camaraderie with his men, and he carried that forward even after he got battlefield commissioned to lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think his men really saw him as an officer.
No, but he also led from the front. Let's
absolutely.
be honest. Like he
Yeah.
was like, "Follow me," and they did. And
Right.
they're like, "Well, you know, if he'll do it, you know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's one of these things. Like you know, it's not a do as I say, not as I do freaking situation.
Exactly.
And he's never gonna ask. They all know for sure, without a fucking doubt, that he's not gonna ask them to do something that he wouldn't do himself. You
Right.
know what I mean? The only reason he's not doing it himself is because he's doing other shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And it ain't pushing pencils.
Pushing pencils. Yeah.
So,
We haven't asked Karen's husband, Doug. No, Kevin.
Kevin,
Have you had a chance to read About Face by chance?
I have not. Just a couple of things you guys are talking about here. Leading from the front. That's, one of the do as I say. Not a do as I say because I'll do it too. It's one of those things we don't see a lot of in the Air National Guard. It's
right?
do it because I said so. I don't care if it sucks or not. It's like,
Right.
man, really? Come on, guys. But no, I that's a pretty good synopsis of the chapter. I could just about smell what was going on there.
The burning cordite and flesh.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you those. Well, he was talking about a lot of those Chinese grenades were nothing more than firework. Large fireworks. It didn't really have a lot of damage. Like I think it was the Russian made or the. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I can't remember exactly what they like. He explains them.
Yeah, and then there's these.
But it's like
ones.
it's like a big like M80.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's more
Exactly.
flash. It's more flash and stuff than actual like destructive power.
You remember those
It's
sim
like a
grenades? that-
flashbang. Like a
Yeah,
flashbang.
yeah. You know the sim grenades that the OCs
Jesus.
used out at NCC?
Oh yeah.
Assholes.
Jesus Christ. I've been woken up more than a few times by those sons of bitches, man.
Well, the best things ever were the artillery simulators.
Yeah.
So when they pulled those and they go, it's like so cliche, like artillery out of a movie. Hey,
Yeah.
assholes! It doesn't sound that way. Okay,
No, it doesn't. So here's
it
a funny
does not sound like that.
here's a funny story I thought I'd share. So when I was in 4th Infantry Division before I went to Korea and then came back to Fort Hood, the 1st Cav, we were out at NTC doing a field. Well, this came up because my wife and I were cruising in the car home the other night, and the moon was out bright as hell, man. This thing was super bright, really big, and it was just impressive how bright and big the moon was. And it sparked a conversation, and it reminded me of this time out at NTC, so I'll tell the story. So we were out at NTC, and, well, I've told a few NTC stories lately on this show, but so this one, there was this guy in another section. He was super special, man. His name was Kendrick. It's all I remember about this guy.
Danny Kendrick? Wait, Danny Kendrick? Tall, blonde,
What'd you say?
goofy-looking kid? Dan Kendrick? Like, tall, blonde, goofy-looking kid?
Yes.
I was with him in Korea.
Really?
Yes.
Well, now that we have his full, now that we have his full, Yeah, yes, Kendrick. So this guy, man, special. He's a special guy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So he is a gunner. He's a gunner in one of our other sections, and we're cruising around, and we're trying to do this maneuver, and we're supposed to like link up with this other section. And I call him up on the radio, and I'm like, "Hey, man, where you guys at? Give me your grid so I can link up with you." And they, for whatever reason, they couldn't get a grid, didn't have a grid, didn't know how to find a grid. Now these are fisters, so I don't know how in the hell that's possible, but they could not for the life of them figure out where the hell they were. And I'm getting frustrated and pissed off. I'm like, just tell me where you guys are. And this kid, shit you not, he's on the radio. He's like, just look up. We're directly under the moon.
No. Holy fuck.
I was like, are you serious right now? He was dead serious. We're directly under the moon. I was like, oh my God.
He must be a flat earther.
I could not believe
you know,
that shit.
because fucking flat earth shit. Hey, we're right there, man. We're right under the moon.
Directly under the moon. Oh, Jesus. We ended up leaving
so
that.
So is the rest of the earth, asshole.
Oh, could not believe that shit.
God. Amazing.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we had a kid, speaking of just like ridiculous shit like that. We had a kid who, he was from, and this is when I was in the Marine Corps. So we had, he's from like, I think he was from the Bronx, and had literally never been out of New York. He had been to Puerto Rico like a few times, right?
Yeah.
Other than New York and Puerto Rico, that was the limit of his entire traveling in 19 years of his life, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Now, regardless of the fact that you have to get on a plane or a boat to go to Puerto Rico, whatever. That's beside the point.
Yeah.
This guy, this kid thought that the entire world was basically like inside the United States, like that you could drive anywhere. I'm like, well, what about the plane you got on to go to Puerto Rico? Did you not look out the did you not look out the window and see fucking endless water around you at any point? You know?
Yeah.
Oh man, this
He
kid.
thought he could drive. You could literally drive from Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
to
he
the
thought
US.
he could drive anywhere. He thought he could go anywhere, like just that it was all kind of like one, as if it was like Pangea from back in like the, the supercontinent. Literally, that's how he thought the world was set up. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were all like, oh my God. And you're supposed to lead us through like land nav or something? How's this going on?
That's crazy.
Speaking
It
of
was bad. It was really
Speaking
bad.
of go anywhere, so I shared this Facebook post with Kevin, and it was a picture. Is it the longest path that's connected that you can walk on the earth? Starts at like Cape Town, South Africa, and it goes all the way up across the strait up into like northern Russia. And what is it, 22,000 miles or something like that?
2,200,000 kilometers.
Yeah. It's like, it's monster. It's a monster. But I was like, yeah, let's
So where
let's
does it
go on
end? So it starts in Cape Town, South Africa, and ends where?
Hold on.
Across the Bering
I'll
Strait
bring it
from
up.
Alaska.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So are you
It's
able to walk
insane.
across the Suez Canal?
Well, they said that you can traverse it through roads, bridges.
Oh, okay. So there must be. I don't know. I'm not sure. There's got to be a bridge across it, though. I guess it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you can walk across the bridge. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So
Holy shit.
it's a yeah. I would love. Can you imagine the stories that would come out of that trip?
Well, you'd basically be doing it the rest of your life.
Right.
So
Exactly.
have fun with that. At least years and years. Well, what is it? So what did we figure that out? 22. 22,000 miles sounds about right.
Here, I'm about to send it to you in a picture of it to your phone. There.
Got it.
You got it.
See ya. All right. Holy Christ.
Look at that, huh?
22,000 kilometers.
The longest walkable road
How long would that take?
of the world, yeah.
Oh, it says it.
It says
587 days to cover for a person walking 8 hours a day. Covers 17 countries, 6 time zones, and the traveler will experience all the seasons and weathers of the world in his journey.
Wouldn't that be insane?
It's called, once you get up above Kazakhstan, you're freezing your ass off the entire
Right,
time.
yeah. Exactly.
That's what that's called. Holy Christ.
Yeah, man. That would be one hell of a trip right there.
All the way through into Mongolia. Better have a badass passport. That's all I have to say.
Right. Well, and that's what I was telling Kevin. You probably need to be...
Might not want a U.S. passport, actually.
No, no.
You might want to...
Canadian.
You might want to gain some citizenry or a passport from, like, fucking Ecuador or something, you know? You
might
not
packing
want to
some
have
heat to go on that
US
trip.
passport. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man.
All
but
right.
that's crazy.
That is.
How many people have done it, I wonder?
I don't know.
That's a
I don't
great
know if
question.
anyone's actually done it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
this has absolutely
Greg.
nothing to do with...
No, it has nothing to do with Hackworth, but it was, yeah.
But whatever.
Uh,
So,
these tangents we go off of.
we do. They're used to
Chap-
it by now.
Chapter 7, Hill 400. Thank you, Mr. Hackworth. That was a great chapter.
It is brutal. So,
Yeah, man.
have fun reading it.
So if you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to buy us a coffee. Head over to changeyourpov.com, click on the link, buy me a coffee, and you can do just that. Here pretty soon.
Super easy.
It is super easy. And speaking of coffee, for my wife for Christmas, I got her a... have you ever seen those Nespressos by Breville?
I just
Yeah.
had one the other day for the first time.
Oh, my God, dude. Talk about spoiling yourself. This thing is, like, amazing.
It's like a George Clooney commercial.
Yeah, yes.
Doesn't he do those
Yeah, it
commercials?
is.
Clooney,
It's
Clooney
a
does
little
those commercials.
Yeah. It's a bit, it's more expensive for the, instead of the K-Cups, right? It's kind of like, it's similar to K-Cup, but they use these little pods. And the pods, you can buy them for about $1 a pod, which is pretty spendy, but if you compare that to like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts or any other coffee that you're going to buy, you're going to spend $1 or more on coffee anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
But now you
More
can
than
have it from the comfort of your own home, which I do a lot of working from home. So now I can have an amazing cup of coffee. So if you'd like to buy us a coffee and help me sponsor my coffee habit and buy more Nespresso pods, I would love that.
The bottom line is you just said Nescafe,
Yes,
and that sounds really gay, bro.
it is. It is. It's really good.
Super gay. Yeah, we just bought a new Keurig. We
Did ya?
bought a new, like the new high speed low drag Keurig.
Yeah.
And it makes, and you can like, it's not like the one where it's got like the single, thing and it boop, goes in and it
Right.
puts the water in through one hole and out through, so this is like multiple things going on. You can adjust the strength, you can adjust the temp.
Jesus, that sounds like my bidet.
Yeah. Yep.
Very close.
There's all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. So, yeah, man.
Yes. Love coffee.
Upgrade.
All right.
Upgrade the coffee maker.
Amen. Segment 2, military news. I don't know if you guys had anything you wanted to talk about, but I found an article that I thought was pretty interesting that I wanted to kind of, since we do have a flyboy on the a call with us today. it is. Hold on, I just had it up. There we go.
Yeah.
So the Air Force has big plans for its flying car in 2021 because driving to work just isn't good enough for the Air Force. They want to
Absolutely not.
fly
Of course
their
they do.
asses around.
So much more
Of course they
convenient.
do.
Right. It basically looks like you've seen those, like
It's like
four,
a big ass drone.
yeah, like like a six propeller drone kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
the quadcopter
basically-
type thing.
Yeah, that's basically what this thing looks like. Which is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, those drones nowadays are pretty stable. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you can scale this to something larger, and I don't see why this would be a big thing, other than maybe cost. But anyway, here we go. The U.S. Air Force is planning to put its futuristic flying car through a series of tests next year, and will help determine how the service can use the vehicle at home or deployed. Now,
Yeah,
just-
this is my wondering: is what
Yeah.
the fuck are you using this for? Other than like novelty, oh, this is badass. You're gonna if you let some freaking like E3 airman drive this thing around, probably
Right.
gonna chop somebody's fucking head off. Seriously,
Not-
look at those propellers, dude.
not probably. They absolutely
Yeah,
will
it's
definitely.
absolutely will.
Yeah.
Like you gotta, in perfect military fashion, you gotta put guardrails all around that thing, to make
Yeah.
it private proof.
Right,
But
exactly.
it looks like the wings rotate, kind of like the Osprey.
Oh,
If
maybe.
can you guys see the picture?
Yeah. Yeah,
So it looks like
front
the
two-
side, the two on the outside, they kind of rotate.
Yeah, you probably give it some more forward
give it
momentum,
some
right?
speed. But jeez, bro.
Yeah.
I
So the-
just don't see it. I don't
think-
see it.
I
I think
hope so.
obviously it's cool, and you have to go through like the whole process, right? And that's
Yeah.
what they're doing is phase one.
Well, I
stuff at
also read,
AFRL,
and I forget what city it was.
through AFWorks, which is anyway. We can
Yeah.
go down a whole rabbit hole
So
with
I-
that shit, but we're not gonna. So
Well, I forget what city it is, but there's a city that just recently authorized drone flight for Amazon deliveries. Have you heard this?
yes.
So I know they've
ridiculous.
been kicking around this whole Amazon delivery through what do you call it, drones for a while now, but now I forget what city
Right.
it is. They just authorized and obviously they've got to fly within a certain altitude and corridor, and it's all very controlled. But I don't know if that's going to stop people from trying to shoot down Amazon drones. Do you?
Well, wait until it runs over a one red-headed cockaded woodpecker, and see if the shit doesn't get shut down. Because half of the military posts in fucking the East Coast are shut down. The training area, half the training area is shut down because of this fucking bird.
What's it
I
called
know
again?
you guys know what I'm talking about.
I
The
know.
red-headed cockaded woodpecker. You don't? Well, I guess you guys did your time in Texas mainly, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So in Camp Lejeune, Fort Bragg, two of the largest military installations in the fucking world have these parts of their training area. Hold on. I'm pulling it up because this is military news.
Yeah.
Have like half of their freaking training areas shut down, like inaccessible to, which means there's probably like black ops shit going on in there.
Right. Yeah. And they're blaming it on this bird.
Right, and they're blaming it on the, spotted woody-assed owl or something. Hold on. Hated. There it is. Red cockaded woodpecker. So, it's an endangered species. Oh, man, hold on. Yeah. Red cockaded woodpecker, is a woodpecker epidemic to the southeastern United States, some taxonomics authorities. Either way, they've got now it's like not threatened at all. What the hell? It's because they shut down the whole goddamn training areas. Either way, they had these freaking training areas that were totally shut down because of this bird. Like you literally couldn't go, and it was like posted everywhere. Couldn't go anywhere near these areas. So
Maybe they've repopulated
like I
enough
said,
to...
and as soon as you hit one of those in flight, the whole thing's getting shut down.
Canadian geese. Oh, can you imagine the carnage?
Oh my God, the carnage. Something like that.
Jesus. You're like, you land, you finally get to work in your car, and you're like, hey, private, can you go wipe off the window? Like, I got like geese all over this shit everywhere.
Right.
So the Air Force Research Labs AFWorks Innovation Program announced the service's Agility Prime has cleared several regulations that moves planning forward for its Organic Resupply Bus, or ORB. Organic Resupply Bus. You love that. The flying car, the S4, made by aerospace company Joby Aviation, passed a Technical Airworthiness Authority, or TAA, evaluation, the initial step that enables the unusual aircraft to fly under Air Force contract in early 2021. The service said in December.
And makes light that the thing actually works and works well enough.
Exactly. Well enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Upcoming flights will give analysts more information to assess the utility of the aircraft in missions like disturbed logistics. I don't know what disturbed logistics is, but medical evacuation, firefighting, disaster response, search and rescue, and humanitarian relief operations, the release said. The Air Force expects the test will provide crucial data to the Federal Aviation Administration for commercial use and to NASA, which is interested in emerging electronic vertical takeoff and landing technologies, or EVTOL, use for its lunar lander spacecraft. All right. The service has been working with the Joby Aviation and Beta Technologies through the Agility Prime Air Race, initiated in February. In total, 19 companies have applied to participate in the program. One will eventually win the procurement contract and the service. In April, Dr. Will Roper, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition Technology and Logistics, said the plan is to have 30 electric airborne vehicles by the end of the decade. 30 of them. So
that sounds really cool. I mean, it looks really cool.
It does.
I think it's a great idea. And disturbed logistics is exactly what it sounds like. So it's like supplies, resupplies within, combat zone, contested airspace, all that stuff.
Oh, I see.
All those
now, can you imagine being some farmer out west sometime and see like a formation of 30 of these things fly overhead?
Oh my
the
God.
amount of UFO sighting calls that they're going to be getting.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So one of the companies you've actually got working on that is a beta test. They're in Vermont.
Oh, they are in Vermont?
Yeah, and they've actually got a bunch of retired Air Force pilots working for them, doing test flights.
So you probably have sightings of up in Vermont of people calling in some crazy aerial vehicles and shit like that, I imagine.
They're actually flying out of Plattsburgh most days.
Wow.
But their headquarters is in Vermont. They've been using the old Air Force airport in Plattsburgh, and because it's just open and nothing's going on there, so they've been using that for all their test flights.
So I wonder if Tesla's going to get in the game of this.
I think they already are trying. I think they've already got some kind of flying car.
Yeah, well, because
they've been testing.
Now, as ridiculous as we're making it sound, I think this is a good thing, because usually the military is kind of the leading component for new technology, right? So I think them doing this is going to spearhead future travel in the civilian sector at some point.
So what it comes down to is, let's be honest, and this is what happens, is the military has the money to spend on the R&D.
Correct. Right.
So what happens is that they find military applications for these things, and then people like what I do, one of my many jobs, is we commercialize these things, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's exactly what it is. We take those technologies that the military has developed, and usually in conjunction with someone like this, and then if no one wants to build it, they put it on the shelf and they offer it up for licensing. And this is a huge area of ability for veterans, especially since a lot of us know how to navigate this system of crazy, right? That you can license these patents, pay a minimal royalty fee to whether it's the Air Force or the Navy or whoever developed it, right? And you commercialize the products, and in most instances, you sell it back to the military.
Right.
And everyone wins. Everybody wins, not just the business owners, but the taxpayers win because they're getting return on investment. Because if you look at it that way, all these things, I mean, this is how the internet came about too.
Right.
Things like this, where people commercialized stuff that the Department of Defense had done. And I think everybody wins.
I think the hardest part about introducing technology like this isn't the technology itself, it's the infrastructure to support it, right? So, for example, electric cars. Everyone says, oh, electric cars is such a great idea. And although I agree, the reason why electric cars hasn't taken off more than they have is because of the infrastructure requirements. You now got to install, what do you call it, fueling stations in order to recharge these cars.
And truly, there's only one company that's put, like that. You could go from New York to California in a Tesla because they have charging stations set up across the country, right?
Right.
But can you do that with any other electric car?
Right, probably not. Right.
Can you do it with a Prius? I don't know. Well, Prius you have a Prius, don't you? So that runs different. That's a hybrid. So I do. I'm off on that one. But it's like the actual electric cars. Now the problem you have with these things too,
fully electric.
The other fully electric issues is that you know what? They're not more economical, folks. You actually, what are you using to fill the proverbial tank with? You're using fossil fuels because that's where you're getting your electricity from. Yeah. So if you actually do a cost analysis, you're not saving anything. You're not saving the environment either, by the way.
And unless you're and they do have fueling stations or recharge stations that are next to like a field of solar panel.
But you're not filling up at night with that.
No. But anyway,
you know what I mean? So
I'm gonna keep my eye on this one and kind of follow this through and see where we are with Air Force's flying car. I think it's a pretty cool concept.
Air Force.
Air Force.
What do you do?
You know the cab. I want to see the inside of this thing. Is what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you really think about it, size almost wouldn't be an issue either. Like it's scale.
Exactly, it's a scale. So is it one person, two people, five people?
Right, but I mean, like they're talking about cargo stuff. I wonder what, like, if they were to build one of these things, like let's say you have two pilots, right?
Yeah.
Or that's the case. I like the idea of doing this as like a drone thing. You know what I mean? Not as like necessary, because then you're literally putting like a 150, 200 pound guy. And in the Air Force's case, maybe bigger.
Well, the thing about a drone too is
into this cockpit that the lift capability can't be that much anyway, right? Right. So now if you turn it into more like a drone thing, then you could absolutely. Plus, then you're not putting people's lives in danger to resupply in a, what did they call it? What was the word? Contested or no? Disturbed logistics arena.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I think I like better. I like the idea of that better.
Well, and not only that, but the fact, like this drone technology, you don't really need to be, I don't think you need to actually have a pilot's license to operate this thing. You know what I mean?
No.
Be-
Well,
because you,
actually, to even do a drone, though, to even fly a drone and do it for, like, let's say you wanted to do, like, photography for real estate,
yeah,
you have to get your commercial drone license. I mean, you could probably fly, and this is not, fly under the radar and do it, under the table. But if you wanted to make an actual business out of it, you have to get your drone license. Like, you've got to get an FAA license, right?
right. But it isn't because you need to learn how to fly it. It's just because you can operate it in this space, in the
Right.
airspace.
So I'm pretty
right.
sure that if this ever were to go like live for the general public,
Yeah.
you would have to get some sort of license to, just like a motorcycle. You have to get
Right.
a motorcycle license. So
Or you
this
get
would be
into
no
it and
different.
you put in your coordinates or the destination, and then
And then it flies
autonomously flight
automatic-
itself,
yeah,
right?
autonomously, which is
Yeah.
scary as shit too. to an extent,
Right.
but yet not as scary. I want to be like Will Smith in iRobot, where I just get into the car and
Yeah.
it takes me wherever the fuck I want.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Take a nap, wake up, you're at work.
Right.
Hell
Right.
yes.
That's what I'm saying. Read texts, whatever, listen to podcasts. The other thing that I also think about when I think of flying cars is that movie, The Fifth Element.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You guys ever see that?
Yeah, it was
Hell
pretty
yeah.
dope.
Bruce Willis.
Yep.
If you haven't, you should. You really should. I think it's a great movie. A lot of people disagree with me, but I don't give a shit because it's just a good freaking movie. It's hysterical. But
I also
anyway,
like the
those
I like
cars are flying.
Total Recall. Remember the original Total Recall?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, with the three-titted lady, Martian or whatever the hell
Yep.
she was.
Three-titted Martian.
And I was a wee youngster when I watched that, and I was scarred for life. I was like, oh my
Scarred
god!
for life. What was the name of the dude that came out of his chest? Remember that?
Oh,
Quoto.
yes.
Quoto.
Quoto. Jesus Christ. That'll scar your fucking brain too. As like as an 8-year-old little lad, you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh fuck. Okay.
And you're a resistance leader, bro? You're like stuck in someone's chest. What are you leading? Anyway.
That is such a good show. I love that show. On to our third segment of the week, and this segment is actually recommended by Kevin. Actually, thank you, Kevin, for bringing this up. So, why don't you introduce kind of what we want to talk about here?
All right. So, we were talking the other day, and weird state laws came up as a topic.
It's a perfect topic.
Isn't it, though? I was doing a little bit of late reading last night, and, Vermont's famous one is a single man still can't own sheep.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Lots of sense.
But I was reading up on the USA Today article, and there was absolutely no mention of that. Another good one for Arizona was your donkey's not allowed to sleep in your tub after 7 o'clock at night.
The scariest part about all this is that that's like legitimate law was made, like enforced law. Well, enforced is a loose term, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, but the fact is, here's the, and this is what's ridiculous about our republic a little bit, is that talk about a special interest law, right? I mean, come on, how often can something like this, like, all right, so like in Delaware, since we're just going down the rabbit hole, right? So like in Delaware, it's illegal to whisper in church. So I that one makes sense. Like I understand, but to make it a law that's illegal, is a little insane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why it's crazy laws. But at some point in history, right, somebody decided, and actually the law was enacted in Rehoboth Beach, right? Whispering in church is illegal and is seen as disturbing the act of peaceful worship. Pretty sure you're not going to see a reverend halt services and call the cops, right? Probably not. But at some point, somebody said, this is a good idea. Literally, we're going to arrest you if you whisper in church, right?
Well, that's what's amazing me is all of these laws were created for some reason.
Right? Exactly. And talk about overstepping government authority. Holy shit. In Arkansas, you can't honk your horn near a sandwich shop after 9 p.m.
Just the sandwich shop. Everywhere else is fine.
And I'm digging, trying to figure out. So in Little Rock, no person shall sound the horn of, and see the way it's written, you're like, Jesus, shall sound a horn on a vehicle at any place where cold drinks or sandwiches are served after 9 p.m. Now, it's unclear how enforced this law is.
Right. Yeah.
But the likelihood is that a cop would have to be at the right place at the right time to truly enforce this law, right? I mean, come on. Now, unless the cop's sitting at a sandwich shop eating his, things and they honk a horn and it scares him. I mean, what the fuck is this law written for? And it's unclear. You can't really, it's hard to track it down on the internet, even though, we basically have everything available to us. But what in the hell?
Yeah.
In Georgia, it's forbidden to eat fried chicken with a fork and knife.
What? Are you kidding me?
You gotta eat it with
in
your
Gainesville,
hands?
Georgia. This Gainesville, Georgia ordinance passed in 1961 as a way to get publicity for the town. There you go. There you have it.
I guess
tourists.
I guess I know what I'm doing next time I go to Georgia.
Yeah. Explicitly outlaws eating fried chicken with anything other than your hands, although the law isn't really taken literally, and it's rarely enforced. One visitor was arrested using a knife and fork to eat her fried chicken in 2009.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
That's
Yep.
Now, it's almost like these laws are created just so, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I'm a teenager and I hear about these laws, that's just going to provoke me to go and just do this shit just because. Or maybe not even as a teenager, even as an adult.
There is one though that like some of them are like legit, like and like people were trying to enforce them back in the day. And the way that you can see when they were passed a lot of times is like how much the fine is.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, like, there's a big one in Maryland, in Rockville, Maryland. It's illegal to curse, swear, or use obscene language near any street, highway, or sidewalk where people passing could hear you. Punishment for it's a misdemeanor, and the charge is around $100. So it was written back in like the early and it really depends on where you're at because, I mean, we even still have like in a lot of these states, there's still dry counties where you cannot buy alcohol.
Yep.
So I could totally,
Texas is one of them.
Right. I could see them outlawing cursing as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, we're all going to hell with hell, fire, brimstone, and damnation. Because we're sinners. So, you know about this, Eddie.
Yes. So, Kevin, what other good ones have you come up with?
There's no skiing in Colorado if you're intoxicated.
Well, that's actually a smart one.
Oh, come on.
Right, that might actually.
No, not at all. There's nothing more fun than zooming down the slopes after you've had a few.
Yeah, unless
totally safe.
Unless you're part of the mountain rescue that's got to peel your ass off of the pine tree.
Right. Well, what's a good one from New Hampshire, Eddie? Did you find any? Because I have one. If you don't.
No, not for New Hampshire. I'm just going down. One of us found a website. It's 15 weird U.S. laws you may be surprised to know exist. I'm
Yeah,
reading
that
down
was
this
me.
list.
So this one, in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
you can't pick up seaweed off the beach. In an effort
Well-
to stop illegal seaweed harvesting, lawmakers created a law that stated no one could pick up seaweed off of a beach at night.
What are you harvesting
Students at Granite
seaweed
State,
for?
Lobster baits.
I don't know. Students at
Have you smelt this shit?
Granite State College named it as New Hampshire's dumbest law in a contest. Former state representative Max Abramson has called the law unenforceable. The seaweed law is unenforceable. It's silly. No other state has it, and absolutely no one knows why it's on the books, he said. So at the end of the day, though, if I dug into this one too, there literally is no explanation, nor is there how the fuck did it get on the books?
Right.
But it's there in municipal code, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
And let's-
but people
well,
are
let's
like,
not
all right, watch this. It's like literally hold my beer, watch this. I'm gonna get this dumb fucking law enacted, and no one's gonna ever know it was me. Because
let's not-
like the drinking, like you're saying with skiing, you can't play bingo drunk in North Carolina.
Well, that makes sense too.
What the fucking fun in that?
Because you disrupt the game, because every single time a number is called, that drunk son of a bitch in the corner is yelling, bingo! And everyone knows that he doesn't actually have bingo. He's
Right,
just drunk
so-
off his ass, and he's disrupting the game. Like, shut the fuck up.
It's unlawful to consume or sell alcohol in any room where a bingo game is being conducted.
That is wrong. That's a little taking it too far. You know,
Pretty
I've been
funny,
into
though.
some heated bingo rooms, man, and you got to turn on that alcohol a little bit just to keep the shit calm, you know?
Right.
Alabama. No, Arkansas. Oh no, not Arkansas. Where am I at? Hold on, let me tell you. Oh, you've already shared. In Alabama, stink bombs are outlawed. Remember stink bombs?
Stink bombs.
Stink bombs.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Outlawed.
Anyone who grew up in the 1990s or earlier is probably aware of the childhood pastime of throwing stink bombs at friends or unsuspecting passerbys as a prank. However, in Alabama, it's against the law to sell or use stink balls or anything like it that intentionally creates a bad odor.
What
I
if
remember
you
when I
fart
was
really good?
when I was growing up, we had those little capsules that you would break, the little glass capsules. You'd break it, and it would smell like vomit and puke or like farts. It was awful. So, yeah, man, if you are in Alabama, you're not allowed to do this. Yep.
Confetti's also
So it
illegal
says- hold on.
in Alabama.
What is?
Confetti?
Confetti's illegal in Alabama?
Yes.
I didn't know they had such a problem with confetti.
It's crazy.
See, there's one in Texas. This is an alcohol law.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, obviously it's unenforceable, right? But according to Texas state law, you're only allowed to take 3 sips of a beer while standing.
Only who's counting those?
Exactly. But how did this get in the game? So it was enacted to outlaw people chugging alcohol. This has got to go back to like the Old West,
Yeah, right.
you know? Like what the freaking hell? Like
So in Florida, you can't wear a mask or hoods covering the face in public.
yeah,
And this
right.
was probably a law before COVID-19 happened, right?
Yeah.
So a Florida state law states that no person or persons over 16 years of age shall, while wearing any mask or hood or device whereby any portion of the face is hidden, concealed, or covered as to conceal the identity of the wearer, enter upon or be able to appear upon any lane, walk, alley, street, road, highway, or other public way in this state. That's a very legalese way to basically say you can't wear a mask. Rest assured, Halloween lovers, however, according to the article by the South Florida Sun Sentinel, the law is not enforced for the holiday costumes. theatrical productions, or the use of gas masks during emergencies or emergency management drills. I'm sure they probably have to revise this law now that COVID-19
No,
has everyone
they
wearing a
don't,
mask.
because what they've stated is that officials, you can require face masks to be worn in Florida, and they can also say, hey, it'd be smart if you did it. The thing is they can't enforce it.
Right.
So if you tell them to go fuck themselves, I'm not wearing a mask, they can't enforce it.
Right.
So
That's insane.
it's literally like the Wild West down in Florida right now. Like, because a friend just, our friends, John, that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Eddie.
Right.
So they just got back from Florida, and they didn't have to wear a mask anywhere down there.
They
did at Disney, I think. And that was out of like their Disney is like urging people to wear masks, right? So they did there, but a lot of the other places they just didn't.
Huh. Which is so weird
Because no one else was. No one else was.
Yeah,
So.
you go to Massachusetts, man, and you see people by themselves outside walking down the street wearing a
I
mask.
live in New York. We literally drive by people in their car by themselves wearing a mask.
Yes.
I've seen that.
What is
what are they
wrong
doing?
with you?
Yep. Yep.
That's ridiculous,
No,
man.
thank you. I mean,
So what-
I get it. All right, so for me, and this is my opinion, I think I've given it on the show before, I will wear a mask. Like if I go to the grocery store, I don't care what supposedly the science says. In my brain, I'm saying there's two reasons I'm doing this. Number one, it keeps my community calm. Not safe necessarily, but there's a lot of people out there that are freaking the fuck out about the shit. And we can go into ad nauseum, we could go into the reasons why, right? But there's people out there living in fear, bottom line, okay?
Yeah.
Which is awful for them to be that. So I'll wear a mask, number one, because if it's going to make them feel more comfortable, that's fine. And you know what? I don't care. It's got to have some benefit one way or the other. There has to be a little bit. It's better than not wearing anything. I don't really care because I'm not going to get this virus. You know what I mean? But again, I've gone into that before. It's not going to happen. But people are like, oh, how's that? You know, but whatever. Just trust me. It's not going to happen. So I will wear it. Not just for myself, but other people. Plus, they require it, right? If I go to the grocery store, that's fine. As soon as I walk out of the grocery store, I'm taking it off.
Right.
Right. I mean, I'm the guy who's literally like standing at the door putting my mask on because I'm not wearing it even from the car to the thing. Just not doing it. But there's a point when I laugh at these people that are, I'm not wearing a mask. It's like, this is where you're going to draw the line. All the freedoms and shit. All the security, you know, that like, just think of a la the Patriot Act, things like that. All the rights of shit that you've given up for less. And this is where you're going to draw the line in the sand.
Right.
And I laugh at them. And, you know, they're literally like taking your bullets and your guns and all this shit. And I don't hear you say a peep about that. But instead, you're going to draw your line. And see, this is what it comes down to. Is you got a lot of blowhards out there. And their line migrates. So if I stepped across their line, they'd be like, okay, wait. Actually, I'm going to take 2 steps back, and here's my new line. You know what I'm saying? And the government does the same thing. So this is what I say. If you don't want to follow all these things, you don't have to be an asshole to do it, right?
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, man. We could go into a whole episode for this. But it's like, pick your battles and pick them effectively, because this is not one of those things, you know, that's a big fucking deal. Give me a break.
Like,
Wear your mask. Go to the grocery store. You literally wear it. I literally might wear it 15 minutes a day.
Right.
The rest of the time, I'm free.
Well, that's the thing is, in my office, if most of us are working from home, but if you do go into the office, you have to wear a mask. Basically, if you get up off your desk to go to the bathroom, to the break room, to another department or whatever, you've got to have your mask on. But once you
Right.
get settled in at your desk, you can take your mask off.
Correct.
Well, now, do I like wearing a mask? No. But if that's what my job and my employer requires of its associates, then I'll comply and I'll do it with a smile, even though you won't be able to see the smile because it's behind the mask. But
Right.
but the thing about it is like, I mean, it's definitely better than when we were in the military and we had to wear mop gear and like an actual gas mask. Like, that sucks,
Right.
bro. So, I mean, as long as I don't have to do that again, wearing a little flimsy mask around, and I'll be honest with you, does it really help with the whole spreading? I don't know. But one thing that wearing a mask does do for me, I noticed that it prevents me from sticking my nasty fingers, like, around my face.
All the
Generally,
time.
I'd be, right, usually I'd, like, rub my nose or, do something with my hands, and that's, so in a lot of ways, the mask helps me from contracting illness because I'm not sticking my grubby little hands all over my freaking face.
Yeah. Yep.
And what about the Air Force? Do you guys required to wear masks when you go into work or no?
We're required to wear masks if we're going to be working within 6 feet of another person.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we've got,
Well,
some of the guys that are out on the flight line, they're not necessarily wearing masks all the time, but,
Right.
I would imagine you breathe in enough jet fuel and it would kill all of the COVID-19
Right,
virus anyway, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Nice.
And it's like one of those things, like, you just kind of got to pick your battles a little bit and really, I mean, if I'm outside, I'm not wearing a freaking mask. I'm just not doing it.
Right.
But I'm also not one of these guys that's going to sit there and, like, what are you accomplishing? And why won't you wear a mask? And you'll be like, well, they don't work. They work for something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I mean, give me an alternative then. Just ignore it. Okay. I mean, you can. Anyone can ignore it.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to get challenged,
Right.
And are you willing to get into a fight over it?
I think some people just love the
I-
conflict. They don't care what it is. They just
Yeah,
want
and trust me, I've walked into places without a mask on. Nobody said a fucking word to me. Like, I went
Right.
in to pay for gas or something, and literally there's like 3 people in there, and
Yeah.
I forgot to grab my mask. I'm not walking all the way back to my car when I'm
Right.
literally handing you, like, I'll hold my breath.
Oh, so here's a funny one. So I had a Planet Fitness membership, and I haven't been using it. So I'm like, I'm not going to pay for membership that I'm not using. So I ended up walking into Planet Fitness because you have to. That's how they get you, right? You can't cancel
You have
your
to cancel
subscription
in
online.
person, right?
You got to go in person. So I'm like, fine, whatever. So I stopped in there one day on the way home from work, and to cancel my subscription. And I'm standing at the desk. I'm standing at the desk, and directly to my left, about 3 feet, is a guy running his ass off on a treadmill without a mask on, right? And I'm standing there at the desk, and the guy behind the counter looks at me and goes, "Do you have a mask?" And I'm like, "Does it look like I have a mask?" he goes, "Do you have one in your car?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, you're supposed to have a mask when you come in here." I just slowly turned and looked at the guy running his ass off on the treadmill like 3 feet from me, breathing as hard as he can in my direction, nonetheless. And I just looked back at him and said, "Nope, sorry, don't have a mask. I'd like to cancel my subscription, please."
Right. And, well, in New York State, you have to wear a mask at the gym.
The whole time you're working out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Ouch.
no,
That's
why?
gross.
Well, I don't. Full disclosure. Because I go at like 3 a.m. and there's no one
Oh,
there.
there you go.
So there might be like one other person there. So I'll have my mask on because they have cameras everywhere too, and I don't want anyone to be like,
Right, yeah.
whatever. But so I have it on, but then I just drop it below my nose because
Yeah.
it makes me focus on breathing through my nose anyway, which is what you should do. So,
Yeah.
but that's a whole nother episode too. So,
Damn.
yeah,
Wow.
man, crazy ass freaking world that we're living in right now.
So here's a fun one. In Louisiana, taking someone else's crawfish could land you in
Oh,
the
yeah.
big house.
Yeah, I think that's
According-
anywhere.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was, again, this is another 4ID story. I worked in the Brigade Tactical Operations Center, Brigade TOC, and not for very long, but I was there for a little bit. Good learning experience. Anyway, so there's another guy there, and we worked. I don't want to get too technical, but within the Brigade TOC, there's different elements, right? You've got a section for combat engineers, you got a section for the artillery guys, a section for et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's different representatives from each kind of function within the brigade all together in this Brigade TOC. Well, one of the guys worked in the FSC, Fire Support Element. He was from Louisiana, and every time we go to the field, he'd bring this great big, like, bowl of, like, crawdads or crawfish or some shit. And I've never had them before. I've never seen this shit before. But he would dig into that shit. He'd, like, bite the heads off and do some sucking thing
Absolutely,
to them.
man. Hell's
So
yeah.
gross.
I'm like, what?
So gross.
So
like,
good.
what are you doing, man? He's like, you want some? I'm like, nope. I'm all set. Thanks, bro.
I love it. I love them.
Do you? I've never tried it,
do.
man.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I
what's
like
the idea? You just eat the head and then suck the guts out, or
Well,
what?
no, I mean it's
I
like
just
a
eat the
little
tails.
lobster. Yeah, so you
Just
eat
the
the
tails?
tails and then
Yeah.
you suck all the guts out.
Oh,
Some people don't do that. Some people just eat the tails. Exactly.
so according to this Louisiana law, stealing someone else's crawfish is strictly outlawed. The law states that if the theft or amount of crawfish taken amounts to less than $500, you will not be imprisoned for more than 6 months or fined more than $500.
Jesus
Wow.
However, if one was to steal more than $1,500 worth of crawfish, the offender could serve up to 10 years in prison and pay up to $3,000 in fines. Can you imagine being that homeboy that's like locked up in state pen? Be like, what you in here for, man? I stole some crawfish.
So, stole some crawfish.
I was like, don't mess with him, man. Oh, Jesus. Craziness. This is... Oh, man. In Montana, you can't have a pet rat. Really?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
In Billings, Montana, which I used
Yeah,
to live
the South
in Billings,
Carolina one.
and I don't remember having.
Kevin, horses
Yeah.
may not be kept in bathtubs. Like, what are you talking
So I was actually reading up on the one from Arizona where donkey can't sleep in your bathtub after 7 p.m.
Right.
And it's because back in the day, a dam broke, and there was a fucking donkey in a bathtub floating down the river, and it took the townfolk a while to rescue said donkey. So they decided,
Oh, my God.
no more donkeys sleeping in bathtubs.
Well, there's one in South Carolina that says horses may not be kept in bathtubs.
That's messed up.
It's a little vague, isn't it? Can't be kept
Yeah.
in bathtubs. Like, what are you doing?
Why would you have a farm
Ala-
animal in your bathtub anyway?
Exactly. Some people out in the country, they do some weird shit.
But these are some big I mean, I want a bathtub that big. I don't know,
Right, that's a big ass bathtub if you're putting
It
a horse.
is.
Unless it's one of those like Shetland ponies or something, you know. Alabama, it's illegal to wear fake mustache that causes laughter in church. That's
What?
quite specific.
What about what happens during Movember then?
I don't know, but is that a fake mustache?
Well, I mean, you could have one, I guess. Or you
Alaska,
can-
it's illegal to wake a sleeping bear to take a photo.
Well, yeah, that's
wants to-
probably good
That's
advice.
just dumb. Come on.
In Nebraska, you can't get married if you have an STD. That's kind of a good idea,
Yeah, I'd say so, maybe.
right? Well,
California.
unless your significant other has the same STD,
ahead.
right? You're like,
STD. Pretty sure I don't want to marry someone with an STD.
In Connecticut, pickles
I mean, unless she's really hot, right?
yeah,
Super
Right.
hot, but she's got an STD.
like listen, I'll suffer through the clap. Let's
I
do it.
guess. So weird. Can we maybe do some antibiotic course before we get married? You know,
Right.
There's no harm in that. California, a frog that dies during a frog jumping contest cannot legally be eaten.
I saw that.
What?
I saw that.
What if it what if it's not in a contest?
Well, then I guess it can be eaten.
Wow. That's okay. In Pennsylvania, it's illegal to feed your cat or dog less than once a day.
Yes, right.
Basically,
Which
that means
it's probably a good guideline.
That means it's illegal to not feed your animals. Which, that kind of right
Makes sense. Well, here's a good one. Fucking Connecticut. A pickle cannot be legally considered a pickle unless it bounces.
Man, you stole that from me.
Bounces.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that one up.
How far does it have to bounce?
1 foot.
All right. 1 foot.
1 foot.
So what do they have,
One
like pickle? Do they have like pickle testers that like do they test them by batch? What are they doing here?
According to one of Connecticut's former food and drug commissioners, one of the tests used to determine whether or not a pickle was legally fit for human consumption was that if you drop it 1 foot, it should bounce.
Oh, I understand. So, Jesus Christ, the people in we were so dumb. A lot of things, seriously.
Yeah.
In Florida, if an elephant is left tied to a parking meter, the parking fee has to be paid just as it would for a vehicle.
How many elephants tied to parking meters
know.
are
Hey,
there?
Barnum and Bailey
Yeah, I'm
Circus,
down there.
baby. I guess we're tying them to parking meters.
In Tennessee, you cannot share your Netflix password.
Oh yeah, well that's that.
How do you enforce that?
That was you can't, but that was not that long ago. So what that is actually about, which you can read it. I think it talks about it. You want to read it? Read it.
Yeah, according to a previous article by Business Insider, the law was created in hope of curbing illegal music and streaming, and surprisingly, the rise of illegal movie streaming from services like Netflix. It aims to target individuals who hack into thousands of Netflix accounts, obtain their passwords, and sell them in bulk for a profit. Netflix policy on password sharing simply states that if anyone with access to your account violates their terms of service, you will be held responsible for their actions. They also limit viewing to 4 different devices at the same time, meaning you could only share or sell your password up to 3 times per account and all be able to watch simultaneously. In conclusion, yes, this law makes giving out your password illegal. However, we imagine it would be difficult to enforce giving out your password to one of those close friends or family members. Our advice, keep it on the down low if you're going to do it, and make sure you truly trust the people that you allow access to stream your services. So it's kind of funny because my son, we have a family Netflix plan, right? And we each have our own little account. So if you go into Netflix, I can pick my name, and my son has his name, and my daughter has her name. So, and when you go into those accounts, you can see like what you watched last. You know what I mean? Like it brings up all the shows, like continue watching or whatever. So one day I got onto my son's account and I went in and I found like all kinds of crazy shows like Brokeback Mountain and all kinds of other shows. And I started watching them so they would show up in his like continue watching feed.
Oh my God.
And I ended up taking a picture, like a screenshot of his account, and I sent him a message like, bro, like, what are you watching, man? he's like, I don't know why this keeps happening.
I don't know. It's like the Amazon knows you're pregnant before you do.
Yeah, right.
Except for we know you're gay. That's amazing.
It's funny.
It's illegal to plow your fields with an elephant in North Carolina. What's the deal with all these elephants, man?
Right, I don't know. I mean, how many elephants do we have just roaming
Seriously.
free here in America?
Illegal. Oh, Maine. Here's a good one. It's illegal to keep your Christmas decorations up after January 14th.
I actually agree with that one.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, leave it to Massachusetts. It's illegal to own an explosive golf ball. Well,
What?
The scary part is who's had explosive golf balls in the
Right.
past, right?
Yeah, we usually call those hand grenades.
Right.
Yep.
Why do we have explosive golf balls? Is that like some kind of gag gift or something? I mean, come on.
In Iowa, it's drunk surfing is illegal. The weird thing about this
Where are you
is
surfing in Iowa anyway?
exactly it's a landlocked state.
Right? Maybe they have like those wave pools.
Yes.
Somebody like got decapitated because they were drunk or something.
Right.
Good Lord.
What do we
Here's
got?
a Vermont one. Women must obtain written permission from their husbands to wear false teeth.
Whoa.
Really? Nice.
That's Vermont. That sounds very multifaceted, that law.
I don't even know where to start with that one.
I like this.
I know exactly. That's what I'm saying. Where do you even go with that one?
West Virginia, no lewd or lascivious behavior before marriage. In 1931, West Virginia passed a law banning, quote, lewd and lascivious cohabitation and conduct before marriage. The law was finally repealed in 2010. Lewd and lascivious.
Lewd
that-
and lascivious.
is that
That's a
is
hell
that
of
the
a
legal
word right there.
Is that the legal term for heavy
Lascivious.
petting?
I don't know. In Texas, it's illegal to sell someone your own eye.
Oh, Jesus.
Right?
How would you even go about that?
I don't know.
Get like a Craigslist advertisement. Hey, I got two eyes. I
Eye
can do
for
without
sale.
one.
Oh, are you blind? Would you like this one transplanted? I'm good.
That's insane.
West Virginia, whistling underwater is prohibited.
What?
Whistling
No
underwater.
shit. Again, another law. Like, why? Why?
So it costs money. It costs taxpayer money to put this shit into law, doesn't it?
Correct. Yes. Like you have to meet. You have to have votes. You know, that's one of those ones that again. Watch this. Hold my beer. That this
Right.
asshole tacked it onto the end of some weird, bill,
Right.
some obscure bill. Hey, watch. I'm gonna.
Well, the
make
same people that are
whistling
passing these
underwater-
laws.
Whistling underwater is going to be illegal. Just watch.
In Washington, it's illegal to kill Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or other undiscovered
Right.
subspecies is a felony punishable by a fine and or imprisonment. Good God. Well, that's touristy
Wow.
bullshit. You know what I mean? Or
Well,
there's
you know
actually
what?
people that
If you
believe
actually-
in Bigfoot.
But how many people would be willing to kill Bigfoot and do their time in prison just to prove to the world that Bigfoot exists?
Everyone.
Everyone. I would do 5 years in prison if I could shoot and kill Bigfoot and be like known as the guy that proved that Bigfoot exists, wouldn't you?
Right. Exactly. Because you're basically
Hell yeah.
going to... Yeah.
No hunting on Sundays unless you're killing raccoons in Virginia.
Right.
They
What the...
must be, now, apparently raccoons is not Virginia state animal then.
Obviously not. In Rhode Island, biting off someone's limb will result in a 1 to 20-year prison sentence.
Biting off someone's limb?
Yep, biting
This
off
is
their
like some
limb.
like some bath salt shit right there.
That sounds like it. But if you mangle their face, you're all set.
You're all set.
Wyoming, you may not take a... See, this is one of these ones, like, what the hell is happening? Wyoming, you may not take a picture of a rabbit from January to April without an official permit.
Take a picture?
A picture.
Why? Like I understand maybe like not killing it or something. but
Right.
Taking a picture of it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Nope. Can't do
Maybe
it.
they're just bashful.
Maybe it's that time of the year and their figure is not up to par. I mean,
Maybe. They're
Right,
too
right.
fat.
yep.
Also in Vermont, no forbidding people from putting up clotheslines. You have to allow people to put up clotheslines in.
Oh.
in
You
Vermont,
are allowed
apparently.
to air
It's
dry
illegal.
your clothes. No matter what.
Yes. No matter what. That's a thing.
I guess I know what I'm
It's
doing
also-
today.
You're putting up a clothesline?
Putting up clotheslines.
Yep.
Multiple clotheslines.
Yeah. In your face, bitches. Here's your clothesline.
The question is, can I put up a clothesline anywhere in Vermont? Like,
Anywhere.
What if it's not my property? What if it's a park? Can I put up a clothesline? It says illegal to say I can't do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yep. Kevin's going to be putting up clotheslines everywhere.
Every time I go
in
to a
Utah,
state park, I put up a clothesline. Just so I can...
Absolutely.
Clothesline. That's
Yep.
it.
Don't
Do
take it down, bitch.
Do it. You lack
In
the
Utah,
sack.
here's one that just was stupid, right? This is common sense. In Utah, it's illegal to cause a catastrophe.
Duh. Thank you. Thank
State
you,
law
Captain Obvious.
State law defines catastrophe as widespread injury or damage caused by weapons of mass destruction, explosion, fire, flood, avalanche, or building collapse. Good thing that's illegal, because otherwise, I could see people just running around causing catastrophes all over the place.
Now, I have another one. This one's from New York, because we haven't had any weird ones from New York. And I know New York's got some dumb fucking laws. But, yeah, like 7, you can only have 7 rounds even in a 10-round magazine. Because that makes a lot of sense, right? Anywhere.
Right,
But that's an
yeah.
actual law. New York, slippers are not to be worn after 10 p.m.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
How do you
What?
enforce that?
I don't know.
Bennett, you got to take a picture of your feet wearing slippers at
Exactly, and then
10:01
post it at
tonight.
5 after 10.
Yeah. Yes.
In Ohio, it's illegal to get a fish drunk.
How do you even do that? How do you even get a fish drunk?
I guess you pour vodka into the tank. I don't know.
Oh, how do you know it's drunk?
Exactly. Can a fish even get drunk?
Right.
Like,
All right,
what
need
are
to
you
swim a
talking
straight
about?
line. So for everyone that's interested in marrying a mail order bride, you can move to Texas and you can actually get married by proxy, right?
Oh yeah, that is. Oh my God, I read that one yesterday. Insane. Go ahead, read it. That's a good one.
So in Texas, marriages by proxy are perfectly legal. In other words, if you have a legitimate reason for absence, like military service, you can send someone to get married in your place as long as you have the right documentation. That's insanity.
Like, I want to know what the right documentation means, though. You know, 'cause-
Right.
oh
Like
my
a
God.
power of attorney or something. Hey, Bennett, you can go and marry her by a proxy.
Oh,
but-
all right. So here, we are expanding upon the slipper wearing, because I'm
Okay.
like, this is really weird. Because I was on a website where it's just giving like the one-liners and not giving you context, right?
Okay,
And I
right,
feel
yeah.
like we need some context. So supposedly the fashion faux pas of wearing said slippers after 10 p.m. is in a public space.
A public space. All right.
Right. It's yeah. So that's illegal. While some of New York residents
So what-
argue over whether or not this one is true, let alone the likelihood of whether or not it's actually seeing a citation given for this. Others claim that. So it is a real law, but it's like, who's going to enforce it? Because if you go to Walmart on any given night, half the people there have slippers on. I guarantee it.
Right.
And the flannel pajama pants, guaranteed.
Which I have on right now. So
Right.
there you go.
And I think Kevin does too.
Yeah.
Yes, I do, actually.
But yeah, I know. I saw him earlier. But but so I guarantee you, yeah, you could, if you were a cop trying to make a name for yourself, go to Walmart, man. After 10 p.m., you're gonna
Oh my
knock
God,
it out of
you're
the
right.
park. You're gonna knock it out of the park, bro.
So what state is it allowed to not wear your pants around your ass? I want to move there.
I want to move there where you have to actually and
your pants
again,
up.
we've said this
Yeah.
in the past. Who the fuck wears skinny jeans like that?
With their pants. Yeah.
Right.
What-
Like, what is wrong with you?
I like how they have to, like, they don't even walk. They have to waddle in order to keep
Yeah,
the pants
like,
from going
bro.
even further down. I don't get it. I don't get it.
How many episodes have you seen of Cops where that is just the biggest fail ever?
The guy's trying to run away.
Guy's
and
trying to
can't.
run away from the cops and can't because his pants keep falling down.
Looks like the
If
penguin
you're
from
hey,
Batman.
hint to criminals. Hint to criminals: pull your pants up and wear a belt in during said crime.
If you plan on running away, that is right.
You should probably
and jumping fences and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Invest in a belt. You'll get away better.
Well, the funny thing about it is a lot of these guys wear their pants around their ass. They already have a belt. Like the belt's on their pants.
Yeah, it's just the belt's on their pants, but it's still down around their ass.
It's around their like upper thighs and shit.
Can't.
I don't.
Well,
I don't
cinch it up, okay? It's a fashion accessory.
In Tennessee, you cannot hold public office if you've been in a duel. Well, okay then. According to the Tennessee Constitution,
when was that putting out?
It's illegal to hold public office if a person does any of the following: fight a duel, or knowingly be the bearer of a challenge to fight a duel, or send or accept a challenge for that purpose, or be an aider or abettor in fighting a duel. Wow.
What I think is amazing is that I think we should bring the duel back.
I do too. Do you imagine?
Could you imagine? And I'm not saying like duel to the death, like guns or swords or, you choose. Let's have fist fights. Let's seriously, if you have seriously.
Why not Nerf guns? If you get hit by the Nerf gun,
no,
you know what I mean?
Man, it doesn't cause blunt force trauma. Something has to happen because people don't learn lessons unless.
All right, how about we do less lethal shotguns? Will that work?
No.
That would be fun to watch, though. Yeah, rubber bullets.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that is kind of cool. But yet, again,
slingshots.
I think we need to like get into a ring. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Just
straight Mad Max the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, get into the arena. Oh, really? You have a problem? Let's do this. And you know what? People shut their fucking mouths a lot easier. Quickly,
yeah, hell yeah. South Carolina, you are not allowed to seduce unmarried women.
Yeah, you'd have a lot less of that shit.
Well, I mean, I think it would be probably better. I think it would be a better law if it's illegal to seduce married women.
Oh, right. That's another great one.
Right. If you're seducing unmarried women, like how do you get them from unmarried to married if you're not allowed to seduce them?
Right.
I don't understand.
You can't seduce, which I guess seduce is to like, do more than just flirt. Well, there was laws against flirting too, though.
Right. Well, this one was repealed in 2016, so I guess you're good to go.
So in Suffolk County, Long Island, you cannot release more than 25 helium balloons at any given time.
That's actually good for the environment, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Sure.
In New Jersey, you're not allowed to pump your own gas.
Oh, yeah. There's, isn't it Oregon too? Oregon too?
I think there's some places in Massachusetts. I was unaware of this until one day.
Yeah.
I was traveling for business and I pulled up at a gas station, and I get out and I walk around like I do every time, and this dude comes up, man. He bum rushes the shit out of me, and I'm like, I'm getting into like a fighting stance. I'm like, all right, man, this shit's going down right now. I don't know this guy. He's coming up on me. I had no idea, right? And he's like, I have to get that for you. I'm like, get what, man? What are you doing? He's like, I got to pump your gas. I was like, the hell you do? I'm fine, man. I've been doing this for a number of years now. He's like, no. It's like, that's what I'm here for. I'm like, well, I'm here now, and I can do this shit on my own. And I didn't realize, he's like, no, it's a state law. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I was like, screw this, dude. And I got in my car, and I drove away, and I went to another gas station. Sure enough, some dude approached. I'm like, all right, it's like legit. This must be a thing. And come to find out, it's a thing, man. I didn't even realize.
Yeah. So it was probably about 10 years ago now. I'm in New Jersey. I'm waiting for like 5 minutes for somebody to come over and pump my gas. Finally, I'm like, fuck it. I jump out and start pumping my own gas. And this, Indian dude, huge turban on, comes over. He's like, my friend, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm pumping gas, man. What's going on? So we started getting this whole argument about how he's going to pump my gas for me. I'm like, all right. And jump back in the car and hand him $20. And he wraps everything up for me.
Dude, man, it's crazy.
It's actually, I was reading up on it. It's actually punishable by a $250 fine.
Yeah. I think that Oregon is another state that does that too.
Now, what is it customary to also leave them a tip, or what's that? I don't understand.
I mean,
Now, what's the whole reason for that? Is it just to increase decrease unemployment rate in these states, create more jobs?
I guess so. The guys making laws don't have to get their hands dirty. You got me.
I don't understand.
Yeah. What was it? Wisconsin. You are not allowed to sell margarine at a public place.
or serve it in a prison.
Or serve it in a prison. Is that too?
Yeah, that's part of it too. Is that they have to serve butter in the prisons.
Wow. In Pennsylvania, you're not allowed to barter infant children. Are you kidding?
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
If you live in Pennsylvania, don't try selling your child. State law stipulates that a person is guilty of a misdemeanor of a first degree if he deals in humanity by trading, bartering, buying, selling, or dealing in infant children. That's probably a good law. Thank you, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so back to New Jersey's petroleum laws here, okay?
Yes.
Enacted in 1949, the Retail Gasoline Dispensing Safety Act and regulations banned drivers from pumping their own gas in New Jersey, and the rules are still in effect. Now, I had said Oregon too, and that is correct, but now they've modified their laws in Oregon that in rural areas, at night, people can pump their own gas.
At night.
At night. Now, so this is the reason. So, like so many laws, the statute claims the ban is for drivers' own good. Because of the fire hazards directly associated with dispensing fuel.
What?
It is in the public interest that gasoline station operators have the control needed over that activity to ensure compliance with appropriate safety procedures, including turning off your vehicle engines and refraining from smoking while fuel is dispensed. So, but the government version may not be the whole story. The passage of the act was motivated by something a little less pure than safety. It was by money, right? Duh.
Of course.
In the 1940s, when the self-service was unheard of in most of the country, a gas station owner named Irving Reingold offered lower prices to customers willing to pump their own gas. And the gimmick was wildly popular and soon became a threat to competing gas stations. So according to Bergen's County, The Record, rival station owners reacted by persuading state lawmakers to outlaw self-serve. And the state regulators made Reingold's tactics illegal. But they've never changed it. So as more and more states around the country began to offer self-serve gas stations in the 70s and 80s, New Jersey, I mean, people used to make a living doing that, right?
Right.
They were a gas station service attendant.
Right.
New Jersey stayed put. So nowadays, some politicians will even refer to the matter as a source of state identity and pride. In a 2011 radio interview, Governor Chris Christie, at the time, said people in New Jersey love the idea that they've got somebody to pump their gas, adding, I don't see that it will be changing.
So the only thing that, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never caught myself on fire while filling up my own gas, nor have I ever seen anybody catch themselves on fire. But literally 2 weeks ago, I was driving into town, and I ended up behind this car, and I noticed like some weird things sticking out the side of the car, and I looked closer, and it was an actual like gas pump still in the gas tank, and then like 4 foot section of hose was dangling like on the ground.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
So like
these
things come with like a quick disconnect. So if you actually leave it in your shit and you drive away, it'll like you know what I mean? It doesn't rip the whole thing down.
Right.
So
there's all kinds of safety procedures here.
I told my wife, I was like, I bet you $100 that it's probably at this Cumberland Farms that I pass by on my way into work. Sure enough, I drive really slow past the Cumberland Farms, and the very last pump on the end is totally missing a hose. Like, yes, I thought it was the greatest thing. So I mean, I think self-service probably, if we had self-service laws here in New Hampshire, that guy probably would not have driven off with the shit still stuck in his tank. Just thinking.
Oh my God.
I will say though, if you live in Oregon, no participating in cult arts. You cannot participate in cult arts. So what's that girl's name from that lived in Albany, New York, that had her own little cult there, the Nexium? She should not move to Oregon because she would not be able to practice her cult activities. Is she doing time? Is she in prison now?
Probably.
I actually did a tour in Portland a long time ago. They offer these underground city tours where they talk about witchcraft and like all the stuff that used to go on in the underground in Portland, like some witchcraft stuff as well as people dealing in human trafficking and stuff like that back in the early 1900s.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That shit's probably still happening, I bet, though. Human trafficking is a huge... Well, you've done some of that, Bennett, where you...
lots of
dude,
it. Yeah,
human trafficking is like a
it's
big
really
thing,
bad.
man. It's unbelievable.
It's awful. Yep. Awful.
No, in Oklahoma, you are not allowed to eavesdrop. Nosy people might be wise to avoid Oklahoma. According to the state law, every person guilty of secretly loitering about any building with intent to overhear discourse therein and to repeat or publish the same to vex, annoy, or injure others is guilty of a misdemeanor. Oh, Jesus.
I guess it's illegal in New York to carry around an ice cream cone in your pocket on Sunday.
What? I think that, but you know what?
They come out in
if
church.
you want to, like, the joke's on you, right?
Right. Seriously.
Wow.
Oh, so unexpected consequences for jumping off a building to your death in New York.
Is that illegal?
It's illegal. And if you don't, and now this is a law, it was since repealed. But if you did and you didn't die, then your penalty was death.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then you're like, well, thank you for just completing
Thank you
that
for just completing my suicide for me.
Right. In Ohio, if your dangerous animal escapes, you have to report it to authorities. Does that include children? Or
Yes.
is it just dogs and cats?
Well, a new law that was passed is you can't buy cigarettes in New York State unless you're 21. Right.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna try to raise that the age to 21 across the country. That is actually
but you
part
can
of
join the army at 18.
That's actually part of this.
right.
Well, that's a law that's actually roped into the this new stimulus bill. Did you know that?
Maybe
Raising
I
the
don't know.
age of tobacco to 21. Yeah. Yes, sir. In North Dakota, you need permission to exterminate a pigeon. Wow.
What?
Yeah, I didn't know the North Dakotans value
so
their pigeon population.
Pigeon friendly, right?
Right? If you go to Fargo, North Dakota, you cannot dispatch pigeons. That's unfortunate. North Carolina, no meetings if members are in costume. You cannot have a meeting if a member of the meeting
Well,
is
I wonder
in
where that
costume.
comes from. I wonder what triggered that law. Some white clothes and robes with some weird hats, maybe? I don't know.
Right. The law sounds random, but it was likely passed to crack down on the Ku Klux Klan activities in the state.
Jesus. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Wow. Interesting.
In West Virginia,
Yeah, man.
you can eat roadkill. That's a bright note.
Say that
What
again?
was it? Say it again.
In West Virginia, it is lawful to eat roadkill.
Lawful.
Nice.
Lawful. Yes.
Yeah. So they encourage it.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't want that good meat to go to waste.
Absolutely.
I was watching a show called Northwood's Law. Have you ever seen this
No, I haven't.
or heard of it? Yeah, Northwood's Law. They follow around like game wardens and stuff, up like New York, Maine area. Well, New Hampshire, Maine area, and this woman had like hit and killed this moose up in Maine, and the game wardens showed up, and the game wardens like asked the lady, no, she's standing next to her car. Her car is completely totaled.
Just
like it totally,
right?
yeah, caved in her
The
bumper,
moose
her
weighed more than
hood.
her car.
Yeah, it rolled up onto her windshield, flipped over the hood. Like her car was toast, right? And they're in the middle of like dragging her car up onto the back of the bed of this wrecker, and the state trooper looks at the lady, and it's raining, it's dark, she just totaled her car, and the ranger looks at her and says, "Do you want the meat?" She looked at him and she's like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, if you end up hitting an animal and killing it, you have the first right to the meat.
Yes.
Do you want the
correct.
meat?
I would say yes.
And she's like, no, I'd really love my car back though. I mean, that's the last thing she's thinking of is, oh yes, I get 1,500 pounds of moose meat now.
Oh man, that'd be the first thing I'd be thinking of.
Right.
Seriously. If you didn't know, regardless of how excruciatingly bad of an idea this is, the Florida legislature is taking care of it for you, okay? It's illegal to have sex with a porcupine.
Whoa. Are you kidding me?
Uh-huh. Former U.S. Senate candidate Bobby Bean actually wanted to take this off the books. With a ridiculous law like that, you have to think of all the lobbyists and all the time that it took in Tallahassee to put it on the books. He told the Miami Times in 2010, "It's foolish. Did we miss it?" Seriously.
How
yeah.
and why?
I want to see the guy that actually tried this.
Who's the guy that actually... I don't... It's like, is there some weird porcupine fetish that we don't know about? Like,
Right.
literally, like, these guys want to get stabbed by the I mean, I wouldn't put it past some weird fuckers with all the shit that goes down. Yeah, let's have sex with a porcupine.
Well, in New Mexico, idiots can't vote. So I'm guessing the guy that had sex with the porcupine, if he lived in New Mexico, would not be able to vote. I'm just guessing.
Right. Oh, my God.
Nor should he ever be allowed to vote. For over a century, New Mexico law stipulated that idiots were ineligible to vote. In 2016, the discriminatory language, which referred to mentally disabled people, was finally repealed. Wow. I still think idiots should not be allowed to vote. And I'm not talking about disabled. I'm talking about like straight up
unfortunately,
idiots.
yes, just normal idiots, not just...
Right.
And so you have in Oregon, hunting is illegal in cemeteries.
Wow.
South Carolina prohibits minors from playing pinball.
What?
It sounds like
Isn't
an
that
antiquated. It sounds like an antiquated law. Like, people were meeting, at like the bar or something and playing pinball.
Wow.
But still, yeah.
In New Jersey, no bulletproof vests while committing murder. Just so you know. Just so you know. If you're planning on committing a serious crime in New Jersey, leave your bulletproof vest at home. According to the state law, it is a third-degree crime to wear body vests while engaged in the commission of or attempt to commit or flight after committing or attempting to commit murder, manslaughter, robbery, sexual assault, burglary, kidnapping, criminal escape, or assault. Now, I don't know about you.
So you just get it worse if you were wearing a vest, right?
Right. Anyone that's interested in committing any of those crimes, why would they follow this law? Right?
Exactly.
I just don't
this
understand.
Is why, like any gun control law, like, hey, assholes, criminals aren't following your freaking laws.
Right. Exactly.
Next time I get in a fight with a gas station attendant, leave my bulletproof vest at home.
Right. Absolutely. For sure. In Indiana, it is illegal to sniff glue.
Well, amen. Amen to that.
This one relies on intent, of course. You're breaking the law if you do it to get high, right?
Right. Yeah.
So model glue or substances containing toluene. So let me tell you, though, from experience, toluene will get you higher than shit. Now, this isn't because I was walking around huffing toluene, right? But when I was in the Marines, I worked at our boat locker, and we had lots of Zodiac boats, right?
Yeah.
And we would use toluene as we would use it to reactivate glue. Plus, it would make it way more effective. So we'd let the glue like semi-dry, and then we'd wipe it with toluene because it's basically a paint thinner, right? And then we would stick it on the boats, right? And so we were supposed to wear respirators when we were working with this stuff. The problem is that the Marine Corps isn't real good about spending money on anything. So the respirators were effectively ineffective, right? Because they were so old. And I remember requesting filters. I don't even think they make those for those respirators anymore. I'm like, well, buy a new respirator. So in turn, I just got high as shit every time I worked on the boats.
Wow.
So whatever. That explains a lot. If anyone knows me, it explains a lot.
Right? Missing some brain cells and never get back.
So yeah, man. Kind of funny. I think we could probably go on with this all day, which is pretty sad considering.
It is. It literally goes on forever.
And if we talk about this in context, our Constitution, which is should be the ultimate law of the land, right, is a 4-page document. This last bill that we passed in Congress that the president signed and all these assholes signed it, right, for the omnibus spending bill, was over 5,000 pages. How much of that do you think is full of dog shit like this? Just
garbage like this?
Stupid ass dog shit. A lot.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying is, can we just use some common sense and get the shit under control, people? Seriously. I mean, like we said it last week, $10 million, and everyone's harping on this one. The $10 million for gender studies in Pakistan. What in the fuck are we spending this money for? Like, it's and what I've realized is it's not necessarily what we're spending the money on. I think what we need to follow is who gets this fucking kickback.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be looked at. Who's getting a kickback for that? I mean, is it because of, you know what I mean? Or let's actually give us context in what this means. But, 5,000 page bill.
If gender study is that critical, why don't we spend that money in our own country?
Exactly. Precisely.
Right?
All right, fine. Let's do some gender studies. That's fine. Can we do it here? Right. So anyway.
You're right. I think it's all to do with the kickbacks, right?
But at the end of the day, this is what laws get you a lot of times, is ludicrous bullshit that makes zero fucking sense and that this is one of those things where common sense should prevail, and the government needs to stay the fuck out of your lives. Seriously.
Well, if common sense was common, we'd all have it.
Having sex with a porcupine is illegal. Well, no fucking shit. Common sense should dictate that. But what does that say? Somebody actually raped a porcupine and got fucked up doing it, and now someone felt the need to enact a law and says, don't fuck porcupines.
Well, because some EMT at some hospital had to sit there for 4 hours plucking quills out of some guys.
Or whatever.
That's kind of funny.
Oh, I think that's karma. I think that's justice.
Karmic consequences, motherfucker.
I would just sent his ass home, been like, sorry, bro, go grab yourself a pair of needle nose and a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, right?
And call me in the morning.
Here's a shot of antibiotics so you don't get infected.
Yeah,
Fuck.
very cool. Hey, well, Kevin, thanks, man, for joining us on today's
Karen's
Jackassery
husband,
episode.
Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
For sure.
Yeah, and
Karen's
you can hear all my
husband,
dogs
Kevin.
All my dogs woke up. Can you hear them now?
I can hear their little scratchly
Hell
freaking
yeah.
nails run across the...
So our real quick, that kind of wraps up our topic of the week: stupid laws in the U.S.
For stupid people.
For stupid people. We're gonna do now the archive episode spotlight, and this week we're gonna hear a little bit from episode 40, Battle in Solder City 040404 with Jay Fondren. Let's take a listen.
It wasn't in response to what happened, what was about to go down in Solder City. It was in response to something that was going down further away from our AO. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. We were sitting there going, man, this is far out, from where we're at, but we were told to be ready to react if needed, because our unit was kind of 911 for the brigade, and as far as we were concerned, at least my platoon, I'm sure First Platoon felt the same way. We were the if you wanted it done right, you needed to send us in.
Yep. And we still had our doors off at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, the doors are still off.
Yep. And so I don't remember exactly what time it went off. I want to say it was around 1400, probably close to that, when we started getting reports about a platoon or a convoy that was pinned down in Solder City. Do you remember?
It was, I want to say it was closer to lunch, maybe a little bit earlier, but we had gotten told that whatever mission that we were thinking for that other fob was going to go was scrubbed. That there was something that was starting to develop in Solder City, and we were to stand by in case we needed to move that way. And you could hear the gunfire. That was what was ridiculous. You could hear the fight, and we were wanting to get out the gate, like anybody does. I mean, like the guys over at War Eagle wanted to do. You hear the fight, your guys are in trouble or are engaged in sustained contact, and as any American soldiers, any soldier wants to do, you want to go to your brother's aid. You want to get out there, and so we were wanting to get out the gate.
It's a really good episode. This actually started what ended up later becoming the Black Sunday Challenge sequence of episodes, which ended up being out pretty good. And I'm actually every year I'm asking more people that served there during that time to come on and do some shows to continue to grow that segment out. And every year we do what's called the Black Sunday Challenge. And we got a Facebook group. 0404 is what it's called. So if you want to be part of that group. And before we used to do, what was it, Bennett? The last 2 years, the challenge starts in April, and it goes through the entire month. And it's January right now, but we're starting to think about it, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit more as we get closer to April. But the last couple of years, it was starting the first week of April, you would move under your own power, walk, run, crawl, whatever, and you would do 40 miles per week for 4 weeks. And that's kind of where we got the 444 as a tribute to Black Sunday. And if you're unfamiliar with the Battle of Solder City, you can go and check out the what was it? It was the National Geographic mini docu-series called The Long Road Home. And it was based off of a book written by Martha Radzatz. And an incredible book. Is about the Battle of Solder City on April 4th, 2004, which is where we get 444 from. But anyway, that's a good episode. And you can check out more by checking out the podcast, and look for the episodes that start with BLK, which stands for Black Sunday. But there we have it, man. And you can, Bennett, where can people find us if they want to check out more?
So every single, just choose your social media player of choice, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what else? Tumblr, Parler, Library, YouTube. We're on all of them. And just type in change your point of view or change your POV, and we'll pop up. Also, www.changeyourpov.com, and check us out.
Very cool. Kevin, any last words for us today?
Call a vet, somebody you served with, check in on them, see how they're doing.
Amen.
Buddy check.
That's right. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Point of View podcast. Pull up a chair and get a seat at the table and be a part of the conversation. Connect with us over on Facebook at our closed Facebook group called Change Your POV Squad. Let us know what you think of the show, good, bad, or indifferent. We'd love to hear your thoughts.